Welcome to the third panel discussion in the Innovate SoCal series from January 2014. This program includes moderator Paul Corson, panelists Richard Koffler, Greg Wendt, Victoria Sassine, and David Carter.
Thrilled to be here. Huge announcement for me in my current role to know that Innovation Fund SoCal has launched. We'll begin taking applications. Very thrilled. I know that we're going to talk more about that later, but in that vein, I feel that we're perfectly placed to keep you awake after lunch and talk about how you as entrepreneurs access capital and how you as investors give away capital and what's important. So very, very pleased to be up here. I want to thank, I don't know if we've thanked, but I definitely want to thank Doug Otto for being part of really a driving force in making sure that this event happened. I know that it's something that we want to continue to do for the long term, and I want to thank him for his contributions. Great panelists up here. Their bios are in your book. I don't want to take time reading about their bios. So the way that I like this panel to work is we're going to try and get you engaged, not let anybody fall asleep after lunch. I'm going to run through quickly, ask each of our panelists a quick question, focusing on the individual, right? Access to capital, but on an individual level. And then we're going to flip it open and turn it over to you for questions right away. Hopefully their words and their backgrounds will inspire many of you to ask questions. I have a few more teed up about the broader ecosystem and environment, more of a macro perspective. So certainly, if that's of interest, you can hold a question, but once you engaged, want you to participate. So without much more introduction, I'm going to jump right in. Richard, your background is in the biomedical space. You've been an angel investor. You're very familiar with the VCs, the VC industry. You've started companies, had exits. What makes a first-time entrepreneur, because that's really the focus for Innovation Fund SoCal, is those first-time and inexperienced entrepreneurs. What makes a first-time entrepreneur interesting to you as an investor?
Well, actually, is it on?
Yep.
It's actually easy. You just spent an hour listening to him, to it.
To Johnny.
Enthusiasm, passion, creativity, perseverance, great sense of humor. Would I like to spend 5 hours sitting next to this guy on a flight to New York? Absolutely. I'll spend 10 hours on a flight to London if I had to, just to listen to him. Flip it around, people who are negative, pessimistic, annoying, silly. Silly is actually good, but silly in the wrong sense turns you off. So it's all about execution, it's all about the team. And to finish, the ideas are dime a dozen. People think you have to come up with a brilliant idea. I usually say think coffee and donuts, Starbucks and Krispy Kreme donuts. I mean, who needs those? There were a million. But a better example as of today is Johnny T-shirts or whatever, cupcakes. Who needs more T-shirts? I mean, it's like they stand there by the trillion in China, and they come here by entire ships full of containers with T-shirts, and he makes a multi-million-dollar business selling T-shirts because his idea, his execution, not idea, his way to execute the idea. So that, the individual and the team around him.
Excellent, excellent. And Greg, your background, very, very diverse. We talked earlier a little bit about triple bottom line, and you have a particular interest when we spoke about biomimicry, which I think is a really interesting industry that not a lot of people know about. And you're also very interested in impact investing. And I think both of those have a huge emphasis on not just profits, but the other aspects of that. Can you talk a little bit about how somebody who's seeking financing for a tech-based, growth-oriented business like we're talking about, how they can marry those two ideas about impact and triple bottom line and scalable technology-based business?
Thanks, Paul. And does anyone not know what we mean by triple bottom line that was discussed earlier, or impact investing? If you don't, I'll just say a couple comments, and I don't see any hands, so I'll just continue. The whole question is, how does someone who's a business who is looking beyond only profit for their motivator? I mean, I would say that Johnny was looking to create fun, and entertainment and innovation is not his only motivator, therefore he was successful. So there may be places where your business that is looking beyond the single bottom line, but advancing environmental quality, sustainability, the benefit of people and society, and businesses that is their core mission as well as being businesses. From the standpoint of what you were asking about, how do they get capital, how do they engage with investors who are concerned about those three items as well, is recognize that you're a business first, and you're doing these other things as simultaneous priorities, and that will then convey to the investors and supporters that you're both aware of the importance of managing a business and covering the bills and doing all that, and also the unique brand or the unique services or the unique offerings that the businesses are bringing to the world are perhaps bringing dynamics and also opportunities that the customers are wanting. So there's a marriage, and that's, as a financial advisor and a fiduciary, we see that the investment process in investing in these businesses is fundamentally investing in businesses where we have to keep that in mind at the same time with the other factors. So it's the three combined. And to your question about biomimicry, it's about learning. Biomimicry is about learning from nature and nature's principles. One of the examples that people are familiar with is Mercedes designed a car designed like a boxfish, and it was 30% more efficient in the aerodynamics. But there's also an opportunity with respect to the way nature works and the way that nature, organisms organize themselves and the way processes work out of $3.5 billion of a billion years of innovation that we can learn from. And there's a lot of work around that that's being done.
If I'm not incorrect, there's a butterfly, there is no reason that we can figure out why a butterfly can fly like it does.
Exactly.
Right? And to be able to harness that both from a processing standpoint, right, and then from an aerodynamic standpoint, what we could learn about flight and about efficiency.
And on that real quickly, what we learned in economics, what I learned in school, and all of us learned in the capital world in the traditional business context, it's impossible to do some of the things like Johnny's Cupcakes. Yet, that's one of the opportunities that we all have. We have more opportunity now, I believe, than we've ever had, because people are more open-minded to try things that traditional and experienced business people and capitalists are saying are not possible or not doable.
Yep, that's great. Victoria, you also have a very, very diverse background. We talked about it a little bit. One of the things that was left out in your background is that you've been a very active investor yourself in companies. And you know, one of the things that's a challenge in Northeast Ohio for the fund, there's a gentleman who's from Boston. You know, he's the guy that you'd always want as your great uncle. Very welcoming, very nurturing, very open, warm, and he likes to pull a joke on folks, right, when they get funds from the Innovation Fund there. And he says, look, we've just offered to give you $25,000, $100,000, right? We're going to make your day. You're going to drive home in the car, and what are you going to think about, right? Having a beer, kissing your spouse, hugging your kids, right? And everybody's smiling and happy. And he slams his hand on the table and he says, no, you should be thinking about where your next money's coming from, because this money's going to run out, right? And I know you have experience in that. How do folks make sense of all the noise that's associated with trying to raise money after they get this, you know, pre-seed investment?
So I think, is my mic on? Okay. Oh, good, I can hear myself. So I think that's one of the most important things that entrepreneurs need to really deal with is the fact that you're constantly raising money. You also are raising customers, you're raising contacts, you're trying to find employees, you're trying to network, but you're always raising money. And two things that I think are kind of challenging for entrepreneurs is when you're running a business in either startup or as it's growing, is how do you handle the two tasks of actually running your business and raising money? And that is a very important skill set that you either need to take on yourself, the raising money, or see if you can try to delegate it. Same thing with managing your business. You're so in your business, You don't have time to raise money. They're trying to make the difference between those two pieces. The other thing is, as you maybe get seed funding from a wonderful place like this fund, is what are different forms of capital available for us? After the global financial crisis, we all know that the credit has really tightened up. It's beginning to open up again, but not really. There's a lot of alternative sources of financing, and if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you need to become very familiar with them. These include such things as the crowdfunding sites, such as Kickstarter and Indiegogo. There's over 1,000 sites worldwide that you can get money from now. These also include alternative lending opportunities, such as Moven and LendUp, which are very, very expensive forms of financing, but traditional bank loans are harder and harder to get. So you have to constantly be kind of working through all of those and educating yourself all along the way.
I'm going to ask David my first round of questions. I hope you're thinking of a few already. If you want, you can begin getting behind the microphones. Please just announce yourself and your organization before your question. David, one of the things when I worked for the federal government, I sat on panels like this almost every week, every other week, almost 40 in a year, and I was never in that seat because of my thoughts. I was never in that seat because of my experience. I was in that seat because of the position that I held for the federal government, and people wanted to hear something about the federal government. Each of you is up here because of your thoughts and your personal experience, right, and what you bring to the table. When we spoke, David, you said, I was a 26-year-old kid and needed somebody to help co-sign on a $5,000 loan to start my first company. You've subsequently had 3 NASDAQ exits. You're invested in 21 different companies as an angel investor. A lot of that obviously focused on the IT. For IT entrepreneurs, how do we help them see sort of the bigger picture, right? There's a lot of sensation around social media apps and about, another coupon site, something. How do we help them see that there's a bigger opportunity in the IT space for those individuals who still want to program or do something in IT?
Yeah, okay, thank you. By the way, it's 2 NASDAQ exits, so for the record. But first of all, I just want to thank you for letting me be here. This place is amazing, huh? I'm from LA, and this is about as good as it gets. I love this venue, and these seats are awesome too. So anyway, yeah, getting back to the bigger picture. I mean, I think, going through life, we people that have, been through things a little bit, we start to realize what things are important to us and what makes things tick for entrepreneurs. And one of the areas that I look at very strongly, and we saw this with the Johnny Cupcake thing, is that this area of passion, that we want people that have passion for an idea or product. And it doesn't matter what that idea or product is. I mean, someone may work in a trade field and they find a problem, because a lot of times products or companies are created by solving a problem. And so they see a problem in their work and they go, hey, listen, I could create something for this. I have a passion to try to make this product. And then that allows them to get started. I mean, the biggest thing is to just get started. And so that's something I think that this program does really well, is it allows people to get started, because a lot of people have a tough time engaging on that first step. And when you're an entrepreneur, you have to get used to a lot of rejection. So it's kind of like going out and meeting a bunch of girls and asking them out, and they just say yes or no right there. And we don't like that, right? I think as human beings, we hate rejection. But I'm telling you that if you're an entrepreneur, you got to get used to it. I mean, there's a lot of rejection, because like you're talking about raising money, we're all raising money all the time, selling something, and the sooner you get used to it as an entrepreneur, the better. And if you can't get used to it, you may not succeed as an entrepreneur. So I think also the scope of it, something I've seen with the younger generation here, is that I think people are more focused on the right things. Like, people aren't, I think a little bit older than me, but the Gordon Gekko generation, Wolf of Wall Street guys, just like, how many things can I buy? I think people are realizing that that is, while it can bring you a little bit of happiness, the more important things in life are, how you're impacting society, and you see a lot of businesses now that are thinking about that, and just, the younger generation students that are looking for companies that may not be somebody who's going to go public with Goldman Sachs, but there'll be something that could add a benefit to the community, or they could take care of their family.
That's fabulous. Questions? I promised it wasn't a threat, it was a promise. I don't see any questions. Richard told me he would storm off stage if there wasn't audience participation.
Yeah, no questions, no panels, so we can all go home early if you don't have any questions, which I'm sure you do. There you go. It's always someone who starts. The rest is much
One
shy.
curious mind.
Hello. My name is Janelle Peterson. I own a small retail business in Claremont, California. And I'm interested in developing manufacturing. And I have never been in manufacturing. I have a great idea, and I don't know where to start. I've written financial plans. I've run this business for 29 years, and I'm just going in another direction and really want to get started somehow, and I don't know the first thing about it.
Jesse, am I correct? Jesse, if you could raise your hand. The Small Business Administration, Jesse runs one of them here, or you're part of running them here. Small business development centers are designed to help people like yourself, and Jesse and his staff and your team, you have a whole broad range of resources to answer every one of those kinds of questions and give you multiple options per question. And it's an incredible resource that is often underutilized. Am I right, Jesse? Good.
There's also something there, and this is something that Victoria and I were speaking about before the panel, and I'll maybe ask any of you if you have views. It's probably a 1 in a million individual who says, I've been part of a lifestyle business, and now I want to enter a tech-based business or a scalable business, or really go from being, a grocery store owner to someone who can figure out a new canning production method, or going from a retail business to figure out a new manufacturing method. In terms of those types of people, right, we talked about it, right? And it may be 1 in a million, but it's a scary thing, it's a confusing thing. What maybe some of your thoughts about that type of individual, that 1 in a million individual who wants to actually try and do that?
I said do it. You only live once, contrary to some populars believe, and some people's lives change. They come to a certain point. You empty nest, you re-nest. 10,000 factors that change in your life. You go bored, you go to the spark, who knows? Do it. What the hell? And if it doesn't succeed, well, it didn't. And if it does, good for you.
I think the other thing is you've been successful for 29 years, and so you've had your share of successes, you've had your shares of failures, so you know what that feels like. And again, we'll talk about financing as well. Because you've had success before, people are much more willing to lend you money to help you try. And I can't sit up here without putting a plug in for the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, which is offered out of Long Beach, where we take entrepreneurs who want to be scalable, who have been in business for several years, and help them develop new ideas and new ways to reach different customers or the same customers and grow. We've trained over 2,000 entrepreneurs all over the United States, and it's a very, very exciting program. And of course, Vivian and et al. Can certainly help you with that type of information as well.
And David, from your perspective, right, a lot of it is knowing what you're good at and surrounding yourself with people that are good at stuff you're not good at, right, to make something like that maybe a bit more possible. A couple thoughts?
No, so I wish I would have had more mentors. It's like I learned through a lot of School of Hard Knocks, and I when I look at entrepreneurs I work with, and then I think about the areas that we save them a lot of pain or help them execute much more efficiently, it's one of those really amazing bang for your bucks in life. And so I think that the one thing that you want to do is be generous with if you're sharing equity or just some, you don't even have to give people ownership in your company. Maybe you give them a privilege or something, but you need to get people involved in your success that you respect, and I think it could be a gigantic help. One of the things I do is with almost all these companies I work with is we have a huge set of advisors that we bring in, and because in my experience, if you have a company that is going to take it to the big leagues, like Goldman Sachs level, it takes a team. I mean, there's just no way you can do it by yourself. It takes a lot of people, and so you want as many people there pulling for you as possible. So.
And delegate what you're not best at, and learn how to work well with people that are doing things that do it better than you do. Work with people that are smarter than you or that are more capable in that particular field. And a lot of us, we all have brilliant ideas. And my philosophy over the years has been, if I have an idea that I really feel passionate about, that needs to be done, and I recognize in the community I'm in or the business I'm in, that should be done, and I look around me and I don't see anyone who's doing that, well, the idea has been given to me, or I realize the insight, because I'm the one who's to be the person to do that. So if it's your idea to do something about it.
Hi, my name is Tolliver Morris, and I'm actually a commercial real estate broker, but chair of the Economic Development Committee for Long Beach, Downtown Long Beach Associates. And so my question is with respect to venture capital money. We've seen some come into downtown Long Beach, but more often we see companies succeed and they almost get pulled out with venture capital money to other places. Is venture capital money geographically specific? Is it becoming less so? Are we at a competitive disadvantage because of being in downtown Long Beach? And is there ways we can improve ourselves in terms of gaining venture capital ground for companies?
I think money flows where there's good investment opportunities. With the full disclosure that I'm a card-carrying capital libertarian, I don't have much time for this economic development concept because frequently consists of people in an echo chamber talking to each other saying, we'll figure it out, and the market will figure it out. I mean, venture capitalists want to make return on their investment, and they're not stupid or lazy. Well, maybe they're a little bit of both, but by and large, they will find good opportunities, and good entrepreneurs will find them even if they're in Long Beach, which is a great place to start, right? I mean, there's nothing missing in Long Beach. In fact, every opportunity in the world exists in Long Beach, and then some. So no, venture capital, yeah, there's geographic concentrations, primarily in Silicon Valley. But if you have an idea worth investing in, and you reach out, the zip code has nothing, and I mean nothing to do with the investability of your business.
And I'd like to speak to your question a little bit. There's a venture capitalist, I think, a serial entrepreneur, I think it's Stephen Huang, I can't remember his first name, who wrote a book called The Rainforest, based on the idea of why does Silicon Valley exist and why is there so much going on there, and what is the dynamics in that community that created so much entrepreneurial success. And those are the kinds of questions we might want to be asking ourselves here that make certain geographies more entrepreneurs per capita that succeed, and those are questions that are happening in public-private partnerships around the country and around the world, innovation zones, things like this. So those are some of the questions that if you brought the community together around here in Long Beach to ask these questions, we will find that we discover answers we didn't know we already knew. And ask the money, ask the entrepreneurs. And there's a lot of unknown answers that are already in the system that if you just ask the right questions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to mention that the frank answer is yes. It is an issue. It's like I work a lot with venture capital, so it's like, and I've worked a lot in communities that weren't Silicon Valley, and then I've had companies that have been in Silicon Valley. So yeah, there's a lot more competition for money up there, but they don't experience a barrier that companies down here would at an early stage. I think as a company start growing, that is really less of an issue. I think if there is a company they think has potential and is growing, they'll come. I I mean, it's not that far, really. I mean, for the Silicon Valley guys in LA, we have kind of the same issue, and but they come down. A lot of them live in LA part of the time anyway, and so they have homes down there. So they're down in our area, or they'll come down for the weekend with their family or whatever. And so there are benefits, I think, to where you are, though, and I think those are the areas that you really want to play up. And you know, one, you have the port here, you know, largest port in the U.S. or whatever. I mean, this is an amazing opportunity of business. I mean, I think there's so many businesses that could be brought out of that environment, all the relationships. It's a really hard thing to tackle in business, to get inside that world. I've tried to go in that with all the unions and everything, but I think all the relationships people have here, I mean, I think there's a treasure trove of opportunity there. I really do.
Yeah, I have to thank Ted Zoller because, you know, I am not, as I said to Victoria earlier, my whole life is an audible. And last night, Ted was flying in, and I sent him an email and said, Ted, do you want me to pick you up at the airport? And then I didn't bother looking at my BlackBerry for the next 4 hours, and Ted had said yes. He had called me 3 times. He had also texted me, and then he rented a convertible Mustang, which I should pay for. And I should. I say I should pay for it.
You should.
But Ted has been a great supporter and a great help. And what he didn't mention earlier, and allowed me to sort of say, is that his model, that Dealmaker model, we, for the Innovation Fund America Group, we did that study for LA and Orange County. We came up with over 50,000 people in Innovation Fund SoCal's 3 areas of interest who had invested in at least one deal, either an equity position as a founder or an investor. We found, I think it's over 4,500 people who have been an investor or equity owner in 3 or more deals. And we've given all that data to Jesse and Shenny, Luann, Eloy to use. We'll make it available to the City of Long Beach, but it's our goal to really, through this, spearhead a lot of those efforts, a lot of those conversations, bringing people together. And we're thrilled to be able to take Ted's model and make that available here. So. Sir?
Thank you. My name is John Kelsall. I'm with the Jonas Project. It's a nonprofit organization that helps veterans start and grow their own businesses through collaboration, not duplication, and hire other vets. We're 1 year old. We work with the Small Business Development Center. They are fantastic, absolutely incredible. We have incredible mentors that we're providing for these veterans. And we're now, being 1 year old, we're at the point where we're trying to find funding sources. And I hear the terms venture capital, I hear the angel investors, but that kind of seems to be up here in the ether. Can you give us some guidance that I can take back to our veterans as how do you make that connection? Where do you go to find the specific named person to talk to about their particular project? Thank you.
I'll take moderator's prerogative and say you go to the Innovation Fund SoCal because that's why we exist. And we're actually tracking veteran applicants. But having said that, again, I don't want to preempt anything.
Well, I'll just say briefly, I've met a number of you in the room through the California Economic Summit, and there have been 16 regional summits twice over the last 3 years where people like ourselves would gather around the state to say, here we want to grow the region, we want to grow the economy, we want to make things work better. But issue is capital. How do we get more money? The access to capital question. And I don't say that I have the answer, but I say that I'm willing to answer the question, and all of us on our team are willing to get into these issues. And we have communities of financial institutions and investors meeting regularly to create a better ecosystem so that if there's a deal, I mean, there's how many people in Los Angeles County? There's 6 to 12 million in the region. I was just talking with somebody earlier about this. If there's an entrepreneur in the room that needs money, we know that there's bound to be somebody in the region who has money that would want to invest in that particular person. It's just a matter of the transparency of finding each other and coordinating the conversation more effectively to connect the dots. Those are some of the recognitions, and coordinating financial institutions more effectively together so that if someone is an investor in an early stage business and they are ready to receive the next stage of financing, they coordinate with the next level of financing, whether it be a loan or a later stage equity. But coordinating the financial institutions, more transparency between entrepreneurs and money, and more coordination between all the investors and the entrepreneur community are some of the things we're trying to do to address your question on access to capital.
Yeah. I think Richard may talk about this too, about angel investings, but you need to, I mean, a practical answer is go to social media platforms. I mean, there are Tech Coast Angels here in California. There are angel networks all across the country that you could just Google, I mean, just Google that and go into LinkedIn and see where are the angel networks. If you want to go, if you're in a particular area, for example, I'm interested in investing in consumer products. There is Circle Up out of San Francisco, and they bring together consumer product entrepreneurs with people who just want to invest in consumer products. So, there's a lot of ways that you can find people who can at least talk to and start you on a path, because it's really about breaking into that network. And to get angel money, it's really who do you know and who's the next person do you know and how can you be introduced and who likes your ideas.
Yeah, let me add to that. I'm a member of the Tech Coast Angels. I've been a member for many years, and perhaps one thing to add is that there's no one-size-fits-all. You just can't go say, I have a group of people we're mentoring, in your case, the veterans who are getting a taste of how they might become operating entrepreneurs as opposed to just talking about it, right? And there's no one-size-fits-all. So Innovate Funnel A, which I think is a great, excellent first answer to that, because that is what they exist. Someone else's money is taking the risk. And by the way, everyone seems to forget this. You're essentially, when you go to an angel, essentially this is what you're saying. Write a check from your wallet and put it into mine. Okay. So when I come to you and I say, give me $10, what's your first answer going to be? Huh? Why should I give you $10? Yeah, you and you and you and you do it, right? That's what you're doing to the angel. Hey, give me $100,000 because Forbes magazine says that angel investors are here to support my dreams. Not so quick. It's my wallet going to your wallet, right? As simple as that. And this is not theoretical abstractions, save the world, kittens and rainbows. This is like, I want your money. So I want to say, well, why should I give it to you? I can do it out of philanthropy, which is what they're doing, which is a great idea, but someone else is taking a risk with their money on you. And then you come to a stage where an angel investor may say, you're at a point where there's some recognition of the risk that I might take in giving you the money. And even then you have to play the numbers game. I don't know, 50 to 100 to 1, give or take, of investments. 1 out of 50 to 100 will make it, right? So you're saying 50 people say, give me your money, and I don't know which one of those 50 to 100 is going to one day send me a check back to pay me my money and hopefully some return on it. The rest of them will be write-offs. So in that context, the angel investor wants to wait a little bit to see whether I can mitigate the risk, and even then you have to play the numbers game. So it's not one size fits all. There's different types of companies will have different access. Some might get a loan right away, some might get a grant, some might get a direct investment from an angel network or a venture capital or more than one venture capital fund. Some might have to just max out their credit card. Some might have to live in mom's attic for 3 years and then, do whatever he can, resourceful until he gets to the next stage and then the next stage, et cetera.
One thing, too, I want to mention is that the bar for raising venture capital, professional venture capital, is really high.
Very high.
I mean, I'm telling you basically, to raise a Series A round now have to have an amazing company with an amazing team. And I'm not saying that there are companies down here who can do it, but it is hard for pretty much everyone. And I don't think it's the answer to all companies, too. I mean, if you look at venture fundings, only 2.3% of all companies that are venture funded ever sell for over 100 million. And so people have it in their mind, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, all these companies. The reality is that isn't where the numbers are. And when you get venture capital, their models are that they need to sell you for over 100 million. So when you jump into that, you're all of a sudden signing yourself up for a long haul to build this company that the odds are against you. But when you have angel investors, if they get 2-3 times their money, they're happy. So you can sell for 20, 10, 5, 10, 20, $30 million, make a lot of money and be happy. And I think that's a path that I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs experience and have a lot of success with. I've done that, and it's one that I think in the press people don't cover because they always want to show the companies or the guy who's made $1 billion in a year. But the truth of it is that that's a very rare circumstance, and that most of the success is in that lower level. And so there are very sophisticated angel networks. What I've seen a trend in is that I think down here you see like TCA having a little more presence and stuff. They're up in LA too, but what I've seen more happening, and the big trend is more towards groups like AngelList, which is online, and you can go on there and there's ways of being able to publish your company for funding, and they've been very successful with that. And so, and I've known a lot of people that have been able to raise money there. Things like Kickstarter, like you were talking about, is a huge one because anything with hardware, typically venture guys hate. And so there's so many companies that have been funded on Kickstarter that would have never been funded in venture capital, right? Or they were later funded in venture that started out on Kickstarter. So don't think venture capital is like, oh, we've arrived, I mean, I've been there and it's like, you're going, oh, crud, now I've got, it's just the start of another story. And so there's nothing wrong with taking some angel money and, selling your company or making just a regular company.
And if 100 investors say no to you, doesn't mean that you have a bad business idea. You just need to find the 101 investor
That's interested in that.
Just have the passion. Know that if the fire's in you, you have to keep moving.
One thing in particular to the veterans question, my colleague Jonathan Robinson, who was up earlier, Jonathan, as part of his job, does the Innovation Fund work, but he also heads up a program at the Kauffman Foundation focusing on veteran entrepreneurs, and he does that around the country, coast to coast. I know I've talked to him about his work in New York City on it, so I plant that seed as well.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Angela Jones, and I'm co-owner of Viarc Integrated Solutions. We're an automated solutions company in Orange, and we develop advanced technology solutions for companies who do prototyping or need a control solution, something of that type. And my interest really in speaking to you or asking this question is to find out how a company like mine can get mentorship, like you're saying, because I was actually fortunate enough to participate in the 10,000 Small Business Program, and it kind of sets you on a certain path for growth and development. But it's a completely different landscape than, say, being a basic consulting company or a smaller company. And so you need different levels of maturation, knowledge, experience, whether it be to be able to get venture capital or angel investing, or to continue to grow your company. Also, being a minority in such a unique field, I think we have opportunity to really impact our community because we can encourage entrepreneurship in engineering, STEM, whatever it be, but in order to pass that down, I have to have it myself. So my question really centers on how does a company like mine get the type of mentoring and further development beyond, say, even the Goldman Sachs program to grow into that kind of company that can make real impact?
Well, I do think one of the things, and I don't know where your finance is, where your financing is, or your financing need is. One thing, David's talking about venture capital. One good thing about venture capital, I'll say that kind of with a smile, is you do get a lot of, we'll call it mentoring, or forcing them to take your advice, or we're going to take over the company. But really with angel investors, it's really people who want to help you grow your business. So often when you get angel money, or even just advisors through an angel network, people may not give you money now, but want to be an advisor for you, they will give you their contacts and they will give you your advice. As an entrepreneur, you're doing 3,000 things. So one of the things is that an angel network not only can give you money, but can give you advice and mentoring and open up contacts and contracts and opportunities that you otherwise wouldn't have. And you'll find people in different spaces. I'm in the consumer product space, so I know a lot of people in the consumer products industry, in distributions, etc. There are a lot of companies that I don't give money to, but I'm an informal advisor that I help open up those contacts. And all of us are invested in different in different spaces that we're interested in to help you with that. So the networks, besides the venture capital, they can really help you grow, besides going to kind of government, state agencies as well. You guys?
Well, it's, having spent more years and time that I would like to remember, in fact, if I could do something again, it would be spend less time coaching and mentoring, because it's a pretty thankful and thankless task. It's thankful because you're having fun, and it's thankless when things don't work out, usually because the entrepreneur does something different, messes it all up, and then there goes all the emotion. So, having said that, it's very difficult for me to think that going around asking people for mentoring is actually rather rude, because you're asking them to spend their time, therefore their money on you, and if I were to ask you, you would ask me, why should I do that for you? I know the thing about community and all that stuff is all nice and pretty, but in the end of the day, you want to create wealth, which is the best way to help the community. Not talking about it, but creating wealth, which is what you're doing. So I would propose that the first thing you might want to do, and before you start looking for the network of everything, mentors and coaches and people who are going to introduce you, is listen to what he said. I think that was videotaped, but early on he said a few things that were extremely interesting. Networking, great important. So being here, self-evident that you have that inclination, so keep doing more of that. And there's networking everywhere. And I think you said you had an IT solution for mortgages. I couldn't hear it too well.
No, I said automation solutions for prototyping.
Okay, fair enough. But it's still technology underneath all that, right? Which is great, because there's networking and read and meet around automation everywhere in Southern California. You might have to drive, but then that's LA, right? And the second part of it is you want to become viral. You know, every time he opened his mouth about brand, well, you're a brand, your content's a brand. You have to become viral. It's not viral about helping the world and unicorns and kittens and rainbows. It's about, I have a fantastic business I'm creating, and I want you to be part of it. And then they're going to ask you, kiss of 100 frogs, one will be the prince, and then the next batch of 100 frogs, 3 will be princes. Next thing you know, everyone will want to be behind you. And you know, this guy probably gets called from investment bankers every day asking to give him more money. Is he still in the room? Okay. He probably has one person dedicated to say, no, we don't need your money. When he started, you don't have any people called it, right? So anyway, so you have to start that. You probably already have, and just take it from there and network, greet, meet, and kiss 100 frogs. 1 will turn, and the next 100, 3 will turn, the next 300, 50 will turn. Next thing you know, every frog in the pond will be coming asking, because you've made them excited. Anyway, just thought I'd hear about marketing yourself, really, is what I think I'm saying.
Understand.
You know, I was just going to say that you're an entrepreneur, right? You want to be an entrepreneur. And the advice I give you, and a loving advice, is just get on it. You know, you got to get aggressive with it. It's not going to just come to you. You've got to get on it. You got to go out there and meet people. You got to push yourself. You got to go find who your target is, and then figure out whatever you need to do to get there. And nothing's going to stop you. That's the attitude you need, and just do it. You know, most people just sit back and expect it to come to them.
Yeah.
No, you got to get it. You got to go do it.
Sir?
Ray Carlson, Pasadena. What alarms me is the statistics in the LA Times a week or two ago about the 40% unemployment rate of youth 16 to 19, and the unemployment rate of 20 to 24 or 5 of 20%, and both those numbers were double what they were 5 years ago. And so we've got this enormous number of youth coming out of schools, hopefully graduating, maybe dropping out of despair. What can we do to help them? I volunteer teaching entrepreneurship in Pasadena Unified, and frankly, I mean, I've taught maybe 1,000 kids. I have lots of anecdotes of ideas that kids have come up with I would never have dreamed of. And sometimes I have to tell them, you better go with that idea and hold on to your proprietary rights to it, because it's great. But when we read about Hewlett and Packard, they started out with $587 or something before they got the contract from Disney. And we read about Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak starting out with a $1,000 van they sold and $300 and started Apple Computer Company. But then we come into an environment like this and we hear about angels and venture capital and everything. But what interests me is the new phenomenon of crowdfunding, and I haven't heard much of you say anything about it, and I wonder, is that what you call Kickstart?
Yep.
Yeah.
part of it.
Did you want us to talk, is that your question, to talk a little bit about that?
Yes.
What is the question?
So let me because I'm getting frantic warnings. We have about a minute left. So I'll pose a challenge for you. A couple things wrapped up in there. To youngsters in particular, people in their 20s, in 15 seconds, give me an inspirational thought for them of how they can take control of their future through an entrepreneurial endeavor.
Oh, I have. I've been
15 seconds.
working on this answer for 30 years, employing people. Learn how to communicate clearly, which must include learn how to write, and that does not mean abbreviations on Twitter.
Excellent.
Communicate clearly. You probably have not been taught how to do that, and it's getting in the way of your future success.
Excellent. Greg?
Trust yourself. You've been given a spark. Run with it. And continue and trust yourself. And you've been given a spark. Continue and evolve.
Excellent.
Okay. Fail. Don't be afraid to fail. You're going to fail. Your parents are very afraid of this, probably. You're going to fail. It's okay. You're going to learn from that and go on.
Yep, so I think get started, persevere, iterate, persevere, iterate, persevere, iterate. You heard the story, Johnny Cupcake, a lot of iteration there. Study any entrepreneur that made it. There was a lot of iteration. And what it takes is a perseverance and grit to get through those points.
And the optimism and the humor. You know how many bumps on the road this guy hit? A lot. Why? We all do, right? Everyone does. It's like he was no exception. He just kept going, got out of bed in the morning, was happy about it, moved on, one day at a time.
It's that resilient capacity to keep learning. And I think that's the thing, is that when
enjoying it.
Those of us that have gotten to this table, we're lifelong learners. I learned more in the last 5 years than I had in the last 25 before that. So that I think that if we engage that we're always failing, learning, trying something new, seeing how it works, trusting our instincts, I think that's one of the key dynamics. You're in a lifelong learning journey.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.